Remember Apple's old Steve Jobs era slogan, "Think different"? Yeah, those days are gone. Under Tim Cook, especially with the iPhone 16 Pro Max, it's more like, think dividend. This thing isn't a phone, it's a Wall Street money machine wrapped in titanium. So in today's video, we're breaking down the 10 ways the iPhone 16 Pro Max is designed to maximize Apple's profits, not your experience. From arm's length, the 16 Pro Max is the 15 Pro Max after one motivational podcast. Yes, the display grew by 0.2 inches to 6.9. Your eyes won't notice, your hands definitely will. It's a two-hand phone pretending to be one-hand friendly. Slip once and there goes rent money doing a faceplant on concrete. Next up, if the design didn't wow you, wait till you meet the new button that solves a problem nobody had. Apple pitched this like it was the second coming of photography. One button to instantly capture the moment. Cute pitch. Reality? It's basically a $1,200 accidental pocket selfie generator. The thing is so sensitive, your palm will open the camera more often than you do. Joggers already know, every run ends with 14 blurry pocket shots of the inside of their shorts. And let's talk ergonomics. On paper, it's pro-grade control, but in practice, it's find the half-press sweet spot or accidentally shoot 37 photos of your shoes. You wanted to zoom? Congrats, you just filmed a shaky 3-second clip of the sidewalk. Case makers hate it. Now they have to carve out awkward holes that either misalign or make the button harder to press when you actually want it. It's the hardware version of autocorrect. Always there, occasionally useful, mostly frustrating. Think of it this way. For 15 years, tapping the screen to snap a photo worked perfectly fine. Now, Apple basically reinvented a button just to justify calling the 16 Pro Max new. It's like putting a spoiler on a Prius. Does it technically do something? Sure. Does it make sense? Not really. Coming up next, if the camera button felt like a forced upsell, wait until you see how Apple squeezes you with pricing. Once upon a time, buying an iPhone didn't feel like signing a car lease. Back in the good old days, we're talking iPhone 4 through iPhone 7, Apple kept the flagship at $649 for 7 straight years. Adjusted for inflation, the phone was actually getting cheaper. Imagine that, better cameras, bigger screens, stronger chips, and the price tag quietly giving you a discount. Different era, right? Then 2017 happened. Apple introduced the iPhone X at $999, and that became the new baseline for premium. The Plus model used to be $770. Overnight, the X and jumped to $1,000. That's a 30% hike in 1 year. No wild innovation, just a wild invoice. Fast forward to the iPhone 15 Pro Max in 2023, $1,200, and the so-called budget iPhone SE, once $430, now the iPhone 16e sits at $600. Budget apparently means the budget of someone with stock options. Here's the crazy part. Apple's not even hiding it. They want the iPhone 16 Pro Max to feel like a luxury purchase, like buying an Hermes bag that also makes phone calls. Average selling price of iPhones went from $657 in 2016 to $974 in 2024. That's not organic inflation, that's conditioning. Apple basically trained us like Pavlov's dogs. Only instead of salivating at a bell, we open our wallets when they release a new color. And here's the kicker. Those higher margins don't mean you're getting proportional innovation. You're not paying for better, you're paying for the same in shinier wrapping. If anything, you're funding Apple's $110 billion stock buyback program so shareholders can clap while you carry debt. So yeah, the iPhone 16 Pro Max isn't just a phone, it's a flex. And the person being flexed on is you. Coming up. But if you think ballooning prices are the only way Apple's juicing profits, just wait until you see how much of the company is run by spreadsheets instead of engineers. Jobs refused buybacks and dividends. Cook launched both within months, then scaled them into an art form. It pumped the stock and also pumped the brakes on bold hardware bets. In 2024 alone, Apple spent $110 on buybacks while rivals outspent them in R&D. Amazon on 85B, Google 45B, Meta plus 39B vs Apple. High 30B. When you optimize spreadsheets, you de-optimize risk. And risk is where breakthroughs live. On deck, if you felt innovation has been lukewarm, you weren't imagining it. Apple used to reinvent categories, now it reinvents press releases. Look at the last 6 years. iPhone, iPad Pro, Apple Watch, Apple TV, AirPods Max, HomePod. Same silhouettes, same vibes, different keynote adjectives. Even the Magic Keyboard, mouse, trackpad are basically a 10-year reunion special. That's not momentum, that's maintenance. Vision Pro was supposed to be the fresh start. Instead, it became the cautionary tale. Expectations around 1 million units in 2024 turned into reality closer to 500K. When your next big thing lands like that, you're not leading the future, you're auditing it. Here's the smoking gun. An internal 2020 email from Apple's iPhone marketing VP argued the company should define what's good enough for consumers and rigorously challenge anything new, especially if it's expensive, before it's allowed into the phone. Translation: ship just enough novelty to keep upgrades coming, but not so much that it dents margins. That's a policy, not a phase. So you get innovation by teaspoon. A button here, a mode there, a 0.2-inch bump, a new finish that photographs great on billboards. It's the automotive new model year playbook. Add a trim, rename a color, nudge the MSRP. The experience barely moves, the revenue does. If this were the NFL, Apple's running a prevent defense, protect the lead, avoid risks, take no deep shots. And the kicker: minimal innovation pairs beautifully with maximal pricing. When the hardware roadmap is incremental by design, the marketing has to be maximal by necessity. Hype fills the gap that breakthroughs used to fill, which is why recent Apple keynotes feel like trailers for films that premiere later this year, sometimes much later. Net effect: the iPhone 16 Pro Max doesn't feel like the next chapter, it feels like the next quarter. The product evolves just enough to justify the upgrade cycle, while the real innovation is happening in finance, not in your hand. Next up, if innovation by teaspoon felt familiar, wait till you see the sequel, announced now, ship someday, where the trailer drops before the screenplay is finished. AirPower was teased in 2017, slipped all 2018, then cancelled in 2019. A first for a publicly announced Apple product. Fast forward. Apple Intelligence arrived on stage long before it arrived on devices. Siri's big upgrade slid from late 2024 to coming year, read 2026, maybe 2027. And Apple's own news summary demo infamously hallucinated that a suspect shot himself, based on a BBC headline that said nothing of the sort. Now there's a false advertising lawsuit. The risk of announcing half-baked magic. You get half-baked headlines next. So how did Apple fall behind in AI when it literally launched voice assistants on phones first? In 2017 tests, Siri answered 62% correctly versus 90% for Google Assistant Alexa. Siri's rule-based plumbing aged poorly against transformer models. By 2023, Apple reportedly had £50K AI chips, many 5+ years old, versus Google One M+, Microsoft had 500K, Meta as well 150K. A request to double Apple's chips got blocked by finance, forcing teams to rent Google's cloud, aka optimize competitors' platforms while de-optimizing your own. Meanwhile, Apple spent $77 billion on buybacks that year. Priorities tell stories. Up next, back to the hardware on your desk, or rather, overheating in your pocket. Record 4K 120 for a while, shoot a long set of clips or stack heavy apps, and the 16 Pro Max still gets toasty. It's better than last year's heatwave, but you'll still hit that "why is my phone sweating" moment. Plus the occasional camera hiccup courtesy of fresh-baked iOS. Power's there, thermals are taxes. Next, and the battery, it's fine. In the same way airplane pretzels are fine. Here's the thing. Apple could absolutely give you a 2-day battery. They've got the engineering talent, they've got the silicon efficiency, and they definitely have the cash. But they don't. Instead, the iPhone 16 Pro Max hovers around 7 to 8 hours of screen on time. Translation: fine for work days, but laughable the second you step outside normal routines. Traveling, vlogging, gaming. That all-day battery marketing line suddenly means all day with a MagSafe pack glued to the back. And oh, look at that. Apple just happens to sell you one for another $99. That's not a bug, that's a business model. Remember when older iPhones kept getting thinner but the battery didn't actually get bigger? Apple sold it as design minimalism, but in practice, it was an accessory upsell pipeline. Smaller battery, some faster drain for, say, more charging anxiety, or say, more chargers, docks, cables, and portable packs. It's not incompetence, it's deliberate. Even the Pro Max, the biggest iPhone with the most physical space for a bigger cell, doesn't make the leap. Why? Because if Apple gives you 2 full days of charge, you don't need to impulse buy that MagSafe Duo when you're sprinting through JFK Airport before your boarding call. Let's be real, Apple's ecosystem is like Starbucks sizing. You think you're buying a grande, but in practice you always leave wanting another refill. The iPhone 16 Pro Max is the grande battery of smartphones, big enough to make you think it's plenty, small enough to make you come back for accessories. And here's the kicker, that's 7-8 hours? That's under normal use. Start shooting 4K or 120 video, editing on device, or gaming with titles like Resident Evil, and the battery drain looks like a gas gauge in a Hummer. Suddenly, your Pro phone feels like it needs life support after lunch. So yeah, the iPhone 16 Pro Max battery isn't designed to end your charging anxiety. It's designed to monetize it. Every MagSafe puck, every battery pack, every charging stand, that's recurring revenue. And in Apple's eyes, you're not just a customer, you're a walking Apple store with a debit card. Coming up. But if you think battery strategy is clever, just wait until you see how Apple applies the same logic to literally everything, so products, AI, even innovation itself. Jobs. Build great products, stock takes care of itself. Cook era Apple. Build great stock, products take care of enough. That's why iteration beats reinvention, why prices float up while designs stand still, why AI was announced like a trailer for a movie still in casting. It's not incompetence, it's incentives. And incentives always win. Here's the bottom line. If you're on a 13 or 14, upgrading might make sense for cameras and longevity. If you're on a 15 Pro Max, keep your wallet. The iPhone 16 Pro Max is absolutely pro, just not at optimizing your experience. It's pro at optimizing EPS. If this saved you $1,200 or at least gave you 12 good laughs, tap like harder than Apple taps buybacks. Subscribe for more sharp, no-fluff tech breakdowns and drop a comment. What's the one feature Apple could add that would make you upgrade instantly? I'll pin the spiciest answer and roast the rest lovingly.